Hello, everybody. Welcome back to For the World. We are here with the two incredible McLaren Formula E drivers, Sam Bird, Jake Hughes. Sam, you've raced in Formula E since its inception, so for a decade, of a true veteran of the series. And Jake, you joined last season after a very successful single-seater career, so lots of experience under your belt as well. So great to chat with you both. We're really looking forward to seeing you in London at the finale. Thank you for being here with us.
A pleasure. Thank you for having us.
So, jumping in with our first question, of course, London, we're heading into the finale, home race for you both. How are you feeling heading into the end of the season, and what are the goals for the weekend, especially given that London is such a tricky track and qualifying is really important?
Yeah, I mean, this is our home race, not just obviously for the team, but also for us too, as well, as you say. So it's always really cool to get to see the home fans there, friends and family, not just from us, but also from the team there as well. So it's a real feel-good atmosphere, and it'd be nice to obviously get some really good results. I think the season itself, speaking for me personally, has been a bit up and down. I think we've had the potential to be probably sitting on double the points we are now, but for various reasons we haven't been able to achieve that. But the performances have been good throughout. You know, the pace of the car has been good. We've made a big step forward with the race car this year compared to season 9. So we go into every race weekend at the moment with a lot of confidence that effectively, if we just stay out of trouble, we can have a good race weekend. The last 2 race weekends for me are perfect examples, really, where I got my first podium in Formula E in Shanghai and another pole position, and then in Portland qualified very well again and got taken out both races by other drivers. So we go into London, like I say, with a lot of confidence that if we can just avoid those incidents, then we should be on for a good end to the season.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with what Jake said. This season, I've seen a lot of potential with our team, NEOM McLaren. I think that we have improved both our qualifying potential and our race pace potential. Bringing home 2 trophies, a win and a second place as a team, is good, but I think we all hoped for and expected a little bit more than that, if I'm being brutally honest. And Jake's right. Yeah, we could be sitting on double the points that we are on, but look, we're not. So we want to end the season on a high.
Yeah, it's coming home. Let's hope.
It's coming home.
Jake did lie about one thing there.
What was that?
You said friends and family. You don't have any other friends. I'm your only friend.
News for you, mate.
Okay, so we are convinced about Formula E, but we do have a primarily F1 audience. So what is your pitch for why Formula E? We're convinced, but give our listeners your best sell.
Okay, so Formula E, it's a championship where you can literally watch the entirety of our weekend in one day. We've got free practice 1, free practice 2, qualifying, and the race all in one day. The race is a length of time that it doesn't take up your entire afternoon. If you don't want it to, you can sit down just for the race, 45 minutes roughly. In that 45 minutes, you're going to have safety cars, 100 overtakes, probably more, 10 changes of the lead, wheel-to-wheel action every single lap, things that happen that you don't expect. And it's 22 of the world's best drivers. So for me, it's highly exciting, highly competitive. And yeah, you've got some great manufacturers in there as well. And we race on some very iconic cities. Yeah, and if you are into the environment and want to do your bit, then yeah, you should definitely watch Formula E, because we are the only fully electric single-seater racing series, and we are a world championship.
I'm sold. Jake, can you top that?
I mean, how do I top that? I mean, I would definitely add the fact that we're coming into the last race event of the season, and we have, albeit not us two unfortunately involved in it, but we have 4 guys and 2 teams fighting for the World Championships. So I'm not sure many other racing series in the world would be able to boast that. We also, every single race weekend, we probably go into it with 22 cars able to win the race. And then there's obviously the logistical side of Formula E, which we all love as drivers. And I'm sure fans that have been to events before that love this sort of city street element of racing. You guys are going to be fortunate enough to see the London E-Prix next week. And, I don't know of any other racing series in the world where we have a track that's half indoor, half outdoors. So yeah, it's very different, very exciting, and I don't think anyone that's been to Formula E race event has ever come away thinking that they were shortchanged, let's say.
Yeah, they're hooked.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And speaking of indoor racing, Jake, last time you were in London, you set the Guinness World Record for indoor land speed at the track, woo woo, with the Gen Beta car, which had some, pretty serious, interesting technological upgrades like all-wheel drive, more power from the battery pack, etc. But tell us about your experience as a driver unlocking that lap for the world record.
Yeah, well, we weren't able to do a full lap because otherwise I would have been banned
All
from
right,
the region
straight.
for illegal testing. So the other teams definitely put a beat. But we got to do effectively the last sector just to warm up the car and launch the car from the last corner to get top speed. And yeah, I mean, at the time I'd just come off, I think it was Portland last year, the second last race as well, potentially. And then jumped into that Gen Beta car, as you say, four-wheel drive, more power, and it was like a rocket out of the last corner. It was seriously impressive what speed we could get up to before braking, and also how quickly the car even stopped. Because by the time I reached the braking point for turn one, I was going at some serious pace, as the land speed indoor land speed record would suggest. You're going quite fast. So it was very adrenaline packed in the way we did it as Formula E, of like me and competition between myself and Lucas Di Grassi,
Yeah.
having 3 attempts at it and seeing who could come out on top. I think that added quite a lot of jeopardy to it. And even myself, I didn't think I was nervous for it until I got there, and then I went first, set what I set, and then I saw Lucas trying to beat it, and then all of a sudden I thought, actually, I really do want to win that. That'd be really cool. The way they set up the events and had people, commentators there, we had guests. We were speaking on the microphone during Lucas's run. And yeah, it kind of dawned on me all of a sudden that I actually really wanted to win it.
Yeah.
Do you have the Guinness?
It's on my wall.
Have you? You put it up?
Yeah, it's on my wall. I got
Good.
You'll have that forever. How cool is that?
It's really cool. Wow, the guy.
Or if it gets broken, do they come around your house? Take it away.
Well, actually, that high, I don't know. That'd be pretty sad. But what was really nice was that the guy from Guinness Book of World Records there, and he was like dressed exactly how you would expect. Like he had full on blazer, clipboard in hand. Like I don't know what notes he was making, other than the speed itself. But he had the full on clipboard. He looked pristine. So it was like, that's exactly
straight out of the 80s or something. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was proper, proper experience that I wanted.
That's amazing. Well, let's rewind a bit. I don't know if you ever thought as a child that you would be breaking a Guinness World Record, but I would love to hear from both of you about kind of your motorsport origin stories. How did you get into racing? What got you into it? And yeah, as a child.
So yeah, my mum and dad were not involved in motorsport at all. However, they used to love watching F1 on the weekends. And I grew up watching Formula One every Saturday and every Sunday on the TV at home. I fell in love with it. I told my mum and dad, like, they're my heroes. That's what I want to do, to the point where I was picking up magazines when we went to the supermarket, stuff like that, seeing these cars, seeing that people were talking about how they went go-karting before they got into racing cars. So I was like, well, that's where I want to start. That's what I want to do. I used to write letters to my mum and dad, and put them under their door. Please let me go go-karting. Anyway, so for my 8th birthday, I had my first ever go in a go-kart. I couldn't reach the pedals, so I put some foam behind me. I still couldn't reach the pedals, so my dad took his mats out of his car. He was driving at the time, folded them up and put them behind me. So I was on top of the steering wheel so that my feet could hit the pedals. Anyway, that was the start.
You still do that now?
Well, yeah, that's my pedal position.
I have to do that when I go go-karting. I'm too short to reach the pedals, so I need to use kids' booster seats. It's obviously so empowering.
We're the same. Yeah, so after that, if my grades were good, every month or so, I was allowed to go to an indoor track in London. Then I progressed to an outdoor track near where I lived called Sandown in a place called Isha. And it just started from there. And then I started to win championships. I won the first championship that I ever did properly at 10 years old. I was entered and I won that. And then it was like, okay, well, where do we go from there? Because I've obviously got the bug now. And then it became British Championships, European Championships. And by this point, then you're looking at cars, and then you move into junior single seaters, progress up through the ranks, got to Formula One as a reserve for Mercedes for 4 years. And after the last 10 years, I've been with Formula E.
Yeah. Well, very smart parents for incentivizing you with the track to get your grades up.
Either really, really smart, or really, really stupid. One of the two, I'm not sure.
Jake, how about you?
So for me, my story is quite different, I guess, to a lot of people's, where I didn't really watch racing until I was 13 or 14. No one in my family had anything to do with motorsport, so I was hooked on cars very early as a kid. Like I don't remember it, but my mom used to tell me that I had hundreds, if not thousands, of Hot Wheels. I used to line them up and park them around the living room, and my mum and dad used to get really annoyed at me. I'm told. So that must have been quite early because I don't remember it. So I've always had this kind of love for road cars, I would say, before even race cars. But I played football or soccer like every kind of young lad in the UK would. Everyone sort of goes that route, or at least thinks they might want to try that first. So that was the same for me. And then when I was about 15, I went for a birthday drive with my friends at a local indoor karting centre. Didn't think anything of it, and the guy that owned the track there assumed I'd done it before, assumed I'd been racing before, because I must have been showing something that was quite natural. And I said, no, I hadn't. He said, well, maybe you should have a look at it then, because you look like you have a bit of natural talent. And then I had my first race when I was 16. So that's quite different, because I was already, at the age where I think 1 year younger than I think Max Verstappen even had his first F1 race. So that was quite different. And I had 3 years in British level karting before I was 19. And I sort of thought, well, if I'm going to make something of it, I need to go into car racing now. And we thought, well, we'll give it a go, but we weren't sure whether it was going to be something I was going to retire from very quickly or not. But I jumped into British Formula 4 at the age of 19, and I won the championship in the first year. And then from that point onwards, it was like, okay, actually, maybe I need to start taking this seriously. So from then, it's been my love ever since, really.
Yeah, and about, it's really interesting hearing both your journeys coming from such different places, but ending up together as teammates. I'm curious if the environmental and road relevancy angles of Formula E played a role in both of you sort of being attracted to the series and figuring out that it could be in the atmosphere for you.
So, in all honesty, when I signed up to Formula E in 2014, I'll give you the honest answer, and the answer was no. So I'd just come off the back of being the reserve driver for Mercedes F1. I'd come second in GP2, which is now called Formula 2, and I didn't have a job. I couldn't afford my electricity bill, couldn't afford my council tax. My electricity actually got cut off in my apartment, so I was like, wow, I'm going to have to go back to school, and I'm going to be a personal trainer. That's me done in racing. Anyway, this new championship called Formula E was about to start, and a team called Virgin Racing gave me a ring and said, look, we want you to come to London to have a meeting. So, okay, I'll go for a meeting. I don't know anything about this. I've heard whispers about this championship. But if it's a paid job, then yeah, at the moment I've got nothing, of course. So yeah, I went to London and I got the job, and that is obviously the start of my Formula E career. However, during my time within Formula E, of course you become more environmentally aware. I've been introduced to a lot of things with it through my time in Formula E, and yeah, manufacturers coming on board as well mean that the teams that run in Formula E, they are the top teams in the world. The software that comes off of our race cars has the potential to go onto the production line to make cars of tomorrow more efficient, faster, more reliable, better braking, better handling, all of these things. So we are a catalyst for change. It's nice to be a part of that system. To your original bit, no, I wasn't aware or that bothered, to be honest. However, after 10 years, I'm massively aware, and I am bothered.
And for me, it's quite similar. other than the fact that obviously I came into it as a reserve driver probably back in season 6.
Five, wasn't it?
Well, I went to my first race in season 5.
Which race?
Berlin. Rome. I went to Rome and then Berlin season 5. And then I think I became sim driver season 6 and then reserve driver season 7 and 8. At that point, it was quite clear the manufacturer, as Sam says, the manufacturers were coming in, the competition was getting bigger and better, and it was becoming a world championship, and it looked like the place to be. So that was my goal, pretty much for that reason, was the competition element of 22 world-class racing drivers, 11 world-class teams. And then as Sam says, once you're involved in Formula E, you realise the message that it's trying to promote. It is very groundbreaking in the sense that a World Championship Racing Series is able to promote all these key messages, even down to the fact that how we travel, how we eat is taken into account at the track. And I think if we can prove that as a World Championship in motorsport that everyone can be better and the message we can put across can reach more and more people, then you realise it's definitely the place to be for that reason.
Yeah, no, that's really great to hear. And it's honestly almost, I think, more of a testament to the series that you didn't necessarily go in with that idea and have learned so much throughout your time in it. And I guess on that point, you mentioned a few things, but what has Formula E taught you about sustainability or about our planet that you didn't know beforehand? Or has it made you think differently about anything in your day-to-day lives in terms of how you live and those sorts of things?
I think we're quite, what's the word, naive quite often in society until we're sort of, our eyes are kind of open for us, so to speak. Even for us, we're come up through motorsport, we're burning fossil fuels left, right, and centre. We're travelling, not really caring about how we do so, and then you come into a championship and like Formula E or whether, for us it is a racing series. For other people, it might be their individual jobs in other industries, and you get taught, you get your eyes opened about what the situation of the world is. Our resources won't last forever, and I think, like I alluded to before, as a world championship, we're able to showcase that a series that travels every corner of the globe, pretty much. We take thousands upon thousands of people to each event, and if we're able to slowly but surely increase each area of our sustainability, whether it be how we travel, whether it be how we eat, how we work together, the type of people we have within the team as well, you realise actually there's a lot to gain in that lifestyle, let's say, and it only helps the environment, only helps the world continue to be what it is and improve. So for me, it's it's very, very eye-opening, let's say.
Good news is that I've already seen over the last decade actual improvements in some of the cities that we've been going to. For example, the smog when we first raced in Mexico City was awful, unbearable. The city looked like it was constantly in a haze of fog. Now, when we go there, it is reducing. So I think that people are cottoning on that. Every individual can do something minor to change for the better, and we all need to do our bit. If everybody has the opinion of, it doesn't matter, I'll let somebody else do it. If you've got 7 billion people doing that, we'll never make any progress. But if every individual does a couple of small things every day, we can make a big difference.
There's one quote I read not that long ago, actually, which kind of hits home, is that, everyone's quite keen or quick to point out what you don't do with the side of sustainability or the environment and things like that. What you don't need is 100 perfect people. You need millions upon millions of people who are trying to do little bits better. No one's going to be perfect with it. It's not going to be a switch. But if every opportunity you think you have in your lifestyle to improve, then you should do so.
I love that.
No, that's a really great learning point. I think, especially because a lot of the folks like myself, like Tiggy, who either work directly in or adjacent to sustainability, we struggle with, how do we keep inspiring people to learn about this stuff, to understand that they don't have to be perfect and that they just really need to bring their life and their experience and their knowledge to the table. So we talked a little bit about, what you both learned from Formula E, but I'm curious to hear what you both think other motorsport series can learn from Formula E.
Ooh, I mean, for me as a racing driver, the competition side of it is such that, the way we've set up the regulations, the teams that we invite into the series through the regulations that we set as well to make it desirable for these teams to come and showcase their technology, and their ability, I think, only helps us have one of the most competitive, if not the most competitive series in the world. For that reason, obviously, we want to attract as many fans as possible to come and watch it, because we think we have a very good selling point. We have a very good series to come and watch. And then the championship is very good at accommodating fans. They're all allowed in the paddock. The autograph session we have, the way the fan parks work, the way the teams interact with the fans. I haven't seen another series, at least I've been involved with, to be that good. And I think that's something that, at least when I was coming up for the junior categories and things like that I didn't see as much. Let's say when I was visiting Formula E, I'm visiting, sort of being a part of the events as reserve driver, you sort of see it. Then when you get promoted to a racing driver and you get the privilege of dealing and interacting with fans, and the insight that they get, the ability to be close to the action is unparalleled, at least in my experience. And I think that's something a lot of series should take on board.
Yeah, can't beat that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So let's switch gears a bit to the car, which is incredibly powerful, unique, super cool, especially, us thinking about it from an electric perspective. And maybe Jake, starting with you, since you're relatively newer to the series, how did you have to sort of adapt your driving style to these types of cars?
Yeah, well, us racing drivers were very good at driving to the grip that we have. Let's say, the car is obviously extremely different, but when you apply it to, let's say, a one-lap scenario, a qualifying scenario, you still have four tyres, you still have a brake, you still have a throttle, you still have a steering wheel. So from that side of things, it's not alien in that sense. You, of course, adapt to how hard you can hit the brake pedal, how instant the power is, what style of grip that you have, because we prioritize a lot more towards mechanical grip than aerodynamic grip that other series might do. So that has an effect. But the main difference that you notice when you come into Formula E and how hard it is to perfect it is the races and how to manage energy whilst going quickly. And those two things don't come hand in hand. You can very easily save a lot of energy and go slow. You can very easily go quicker than everyone else and spend all the energy. But both of those things won't win you the race. So you need the balance of both of those things, better than 21 other drivers and 10 other teams, at least on the grid. And they have different strategic styles, different plans for the race. Whether the race is green from the green flag to the checkered flag, whether there's loads of safety cars, how you play with the attack mode strategy, and all these things have a knock-on effect with the energy. And every single lap you're making calculations on every single straight in your head, whether to spend the energy now or whether to prioritize energy, whether to prioritize track position, to overtake, to defend. And it's like a massive game of chess, is the best way to describe it. You're always having to think 3 or 4 laps ahead, at least. And, thinking about how every other racing driver on the grid is thinking how this race is going and what they might be doing in 5-10 laps time, and how that affects what you need to do now. And those things are very hard to achieve. You come off after the race completely exhausted mentally because it's so challenging. And you think of at least 20 different moments in the race where you think, I could have done that better. And you learn to have to accept that, and you learn to have to realize what are the priorities, really. But I'm 2 years into it, so I'm still learning. I'm sure Sam, 10 years into it, will know a lot more than me, but also I'm pretty sure he will say the same thing, that he's forever learning.
Yeah, it's exactly the same as what Jake said. I mean, it's that long ago that I can't even really remember how I had to adapt. The cars were very different back then as well. It was a very, very basic car. Now they're far more intricate. A lot more software goes into the cars now. Back when I started, all I could do was change my brake bias and turn left, turn right. So the car is very, very different now to what it was back then. As Jake said and alluded to, we as drivers, we adapt very, very quickly. We need a couple of laps to learn a new circuit and 5 to 10 laps to learn a new car. So yeah, it is different, but at the end of the day, it's a racing car. It's a single seater. It's it's heavy for a single seater, yet it actually changes direction quite well. The mechanical grip is good. very little aerodynamical grip. That's where it differs to Formula One. Formula One is based on aerodynamics and the aerodynamic race to be the best. We are mechanical grip, and our race is purely fundamentally software based.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even though, you don't have a lot of say on the hardware, still interested to hear a little bit about how you think as drivers you help to inform the technology. And is it more or less the same than other series with the goal of rolled relevance and trickle down effects? We've talked about that a little bit.
Yeah. So you look at the relevance with Formula One, for example. As I said, it's an aerodynamic race. Unless you're buying a hypercar or a supercar worth 400,000 plus, the materials used on a Formula One car these days are not relevant to the everyday person.
Yeah.
You don't need that ultra lightweight stiff carbon or the carbon ceramic brakes that work up to 1,000 degrees, and things like this. However, Formula E, as a software championship, that doesn't cost anything. That's just man hours, and it's relevant technology to where the automotive industry is going. So if we can, via software and mapping, increase the range on an electric vehicle, then that's great. That is really relevant technology to the average consumer that will be purchasing a hybrid or an EV in the very near future.
Yeah, and the other thing to add to that, as Sam says, it is software based. It's very much a software war to be faster. And if anyone owns an electric car, hybrid car, they'll know a lot of software updates are done over the air now to your road cars. That is the same for us in Formula E. We can update the car, we can upgrade the car, we can make it go faster, make it go more efficient, improve the braking system, all over the air. And that stuff is translatable to the way the future road cars and the future EVs will improve effectively.
That is so
Yeah, and
fascinating.
one of the cool things for me, Sam, you mentioned the materials piece. I love all the work that Formula E is doing with natural materials that are going into the bodywork and pieces of the car. And that's something for, me as a consumer who drives a very old and not electric car. Is something that's really interesting to think about how we can get the other pieces aside from, the power to bring those emissions down. So thanks for sharing your insights on that.
No worries.
So before we have a little fun, want to hear about being part of the Papaya family and being part of McLaren. What's it like with so many drivers and team members across other series? Do you feel like you learn from other series at all or get opportunities to chat with other drivers?
So I've actually just come back from Silverstone. So
Yeah.
the F1 team had me there to do their Pirelli hot laps, to do
Nice.
ambassador work, to meet and greet with sponsors. So yes, we are NEOM McLaren Formula E racing drivers. However, we are ambassadors for the company McLaren, and I think it's great. We do get to see Lando, Oscar. We haven't been out to America yet to see the IndyCar drivers. We've also got the F1 Academy with Bianca. Mm-hmm. We've got the Extreme E team, which is based with us in Bicester. So yeah, it is like one big family. Obviously, Lando and Oscar are the F1 drivers and take all the plaudits and kind of rightfully so. But we are a family, and it's a privilege, and I'm very proud to wear this colour.
And the one thing you sort of know it from afar, but you don't really truthfully realise it, at least for a racing driver, until you're inside the team. And, one of the faces, I guess, of the team as one of the two drivers is we have the best fans in the world. Definitely on the grid, but I would say in the world of any racing team. It's not, well, it is obvious to see so on social media, the amount of engagement we get, the amount of fans we see at the track, the love we get in good and bad moments. It's really refreshing, and it's really encouraging for us in the seat to know that we have those people behind us at the track and at home.
Yeah, as a McLaren fan, I have to agree with that we are the best.
Definitely.
But
Oh,
also,
yeah.
Definitely.
it
Oh,
always
yeah.
gives us something to root for. If there's not an F1 race going on, there's a Formula E race or an Extreme E race or an IndyCar race. Like there's so much to cheer for, which is
I think genuinely that our boss Zak Brown's done a really good job since
yeah.
he joined the team in expanding McLaren as a group. I think that it's been the right call, and I think McLaren back in the day was massive, and then it went into a bit of a dip, but he's been able to extract it out of that, and now
Yeah.
it still continues to skyrocket the popularity of McLaren.
It's great when your boss is just as big as a racing fanatic as you are. Let's say.
and golfing fan.
And golfing fanatic as well. Actually, I think he's probably more of a fanatic than us. And I don't know if that's possible.
He doesn't speak to me about racing.
It's just golf.
When we
Do
play
you,
golf.
do you guys golf with Zach on occasion?
Yeah, on occasions, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Sam's done a lot more over the years, and I've just started to play with Zach.
Nice.
And, it's good fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. That's pressure to keep your golf game up for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So to end, we always do a little bit of a rapid fire round. So first up, your favorite Formula E race.
Oh, gotta be. I mean, in terms of event, I would say
you've got Shanghai. It's got to be your favorite race. Was your best result? Surely,
yeah,
that's the
from a
one where
result.
you look back at and be like, "Wow,
Yes.
that's great."
Well, it's the one I'll probably remember the most. But
Yeah.
there's, I don't want to sound like I'm on the fence, but I'm going to sound like it. But best event I've been to is London for me. You'll see so when you get there next week. The event is superb in terms of the track. Monaco, Diriyah, another home race of ours, I think are probably my favourites.
So I was racing in the first ever World Motorsport races in New York.
Ooh.
That was big for me. So yeah, that was 2017 was the first time we went there, and I was fortunate enough to win both races that weekend. So
Yeah.
that'll go down in history, I suppose. Well, I can name another 10 races.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah.
Well, we love those, especially as New Yorkers, and we're waiting for the series to come
very
back.
Special. I also won in London before. Also, my first win with McLaren this year.
You're just going to list off all 10?
I don't know whether I can.
Yeah.
My first win for NEOM McLaren was extremely special, knowing that it was the first win for the team. Not gonna lie, it was a little bit unexpected that weekend, the way that the race was going to pan out. But to win in Sao Paulo, home of Ayrton Senna, to have Emerson Fittipaldi waving the flag on the anniversary of 50 years since he won the World Championship, kind of all the stars aligned. And yeah, that was
Incredible.
probably one of my favorites, if not the favorite.
Next question. Your favorite piece of Formula E technology? There's a lot to choose from.
I think the introduction of all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be super cool. I think that's going to be a game changer. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
I don't think any other single-seater series in the world is four-wheel drive. Don't think so.
What about hypercar?
I don't. Well, it's not really single-seater, it's a sports car.
Yeah,
I don't know.
World Championship though.
I think. Anyway, yeah, it is four-wheel drive. I think
but no other single seater. Yeah, no other single seater. So that's groundbreaking.
Yeah,
and it will really make the championship stand out. We also, in the near future, are looking to introduce fast charging. So that's these two things I would say are fairly groundbreaking.
Okay. And then a couple British theme ones. I hope you're watching the game later today.
Oh, of course. Have you got your shirt ready? Oh, mate.
First, what is your go-to order at the pub?
Never go. Don't go to a pub. Ever.
Yeah.
Never.
Why would you go to a pub?
I think, unfortunately, you might have got the two only British people that probably don't go to the pub.
The two most boring drivers.
Yeah. You got to think we don't really drink. So,
okay.
When was the last time we went to a pub?
I would much prefer to go to Nando's and have a nice meal and a glass of sparkling water.
But Nando's not very British, is it? It's Portuguese.
Oh, but we love Nando's. I think of Britain when I hear Nando's.
Yeah, I think we've adopted
fish and
it.
chips.
I think with the fish and chips.
Fish and chips.
Well, Guinness is Irish. So
have you tried Guinness?
I have. I don't like it.
Oh my days! I went to Dublin recently.
Did you?
Yeah, and it's supposed to be better there.
It wasn't.
I had half a pint of it on my brother's stag do. I was like, no, take it away.
All right, fish and chips it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say fish and chips. Do you know what? A good Sunday roast at nice pub.
How do we
a nice
forget that?
Sunday roast with all the trimmings,
Yorkshire
loads
pudding.
of gravy, a couple of Yorkshires on the side,
Yeah.
like one token bit of veg.
Yeah.
So basically, it's like
one carrot.
Yeah, I'm like a carnivore. just pile on the meat.
Yeah.
And then you've got like the food coma that you go into.
Yeah, but that's great.
And then you have to fall asleep in front of watching Aston Villa get pummeled by somebody.
Oh god.
No, that's great. It kind of feels like a full circle moment for me. The first time that I tried sticky toffee pudding was in a pub in the middle of nowhere, and
how good is it?
somewhere. It was amazing, but it was funny because it was the Women's World Cup final between England and the US, and I was the only American in the pub. And the deal was that if the Brits lost, I had to eat sticky toffee pudding because I'd never had it before, and it was fabulous. It was hardly a bet.
I was going to say, were you thinking you didn't want to try it if you had a bet?
Well, I don't know. I was there with a friend, and they were kind of like pushing me, like, you have to try some weird British food if we lose. And I was like, I'll go with the one that sounds amazing. And
wasn't it actually the semi-final? Because I don't think we made the final.
Oh, I don't remember. It was 2019.
Yeah, exactly. It was a semi-final.
Semi-final, okay.
Because Phil Neville, on You May, was the manager at the time. Then we got Wiegman, and then we won the Euros, and then last time we got to the final, but we lost to Spain.
True, Spain.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Spain.
Look at you and your football knowledge.
Oh yeah.
So next rapid fire question: what is your favorite tube line? We're both New Yorkers, so we were debating our favorite subway lines before we got on this call.
Mind the Gap.
Mind the Gap. I think it's quite simple. It says what it's supposed to.
What's the one that goes through Hyde Park? What's the one that goes through Hyde Park? Piccadilly. It's got Piccadilly because it goes. You got Piccadilly, Oxford Circus.
Oh, tube line. Sorry, I thought you said tube as in tube line, as in like
tube phrase. Yeah.
That's a great one too. We do love Mind the Gap.
Oh, tube line. Oh, I don't know.
How did you get that from that question?
Tube line, as in like one-liner, like tube line.
No, mate.
Mind the Gap.
Pick one anyway. So we're making this not very rapid, unfortunately.
Yeah, pick it.
Okay. Yeah, this might be our slowest rapid fire round of all time, but we love it. Okay, last one. Best hometown recommendation, whether it's a restaurant, a pub, a park, anything.
I mean, I would have said Birmingham. He's done for. There's nothing.
Birmingham is Nando's or curry. Actually, I've got to have a curry if you go to Birmingham. It's Indian, but with it's our thing now. It's our curry. Thing. Yeah, that's Scouse, man.
That's close.
What's yours?
We do great fish and chips.
Yeah.
Because I live on the coast down near Bournemouth. We got some great fish and chips.
Okay. All right. And there we have it. Thank you both so much. We're so excited to see you in London and wishing you all the best and really enjoyed the chat.
Likewise.
Thank you guys. Thank you.